The Mazda 2 is still a strong option if you're looking for a quality supermini and has been usefully improved in recent times. Here we focus on the mild hybrid version, plus if you want full hybrid technology, the Mazda has a rebadged version of the impressive Toyota Yaris to offer you. It's the e-SKYACTIV-G mild hybrid range we look at primarily here though, based on a third generation DJDL series design that dates back to 2015 but is aging well. This model packs in some big car features into a pertly-styled body and features great real-world economy. It's still a real contender to the likes of the Corsa 208 and Polo. The Mazda 2 is still going places. Here we're going to look at the last update made to this third generation model. It's got quite a history to build on. The very first Mazda 2 sold 410,000 units between 2003 and 2007. The second generation model had a 7-year run at the market, but had already eclipsed its predecessor's total midway through 2010. Now, both cars owed a lot to Ford's strategic partnership with Mazda, effectively being rebodied Fiestas, which, as anyone who's ever driven a modern Fiesta will happily admit, is no bad thing. For the third generation version, this current car launched in 2015, Mazda went it alone. This Mark III Model 2 riding on its own e-SKYACTIV chassis technology, updated at the end of the decade with the mild hybrid e-SKYACTIV-G technology that features in the car today. The brand doesn't have a full hybrid engine in its portfolio, so has borrowed one from rivals Toyota, which is sold as the Mazda 2 Hybrid, but is essentially a separate product sold alongside this one. Our focus here, though, is on the mild hybrid model, usefully improved as part of a package of updates introduced in early 2023. Is it still a credible supermini contender? You'll need the usual thorough car and driving road test to find out. It should be sporty, shouldn't it? After all, the Mazda 2 always has been, and right from the beginning, this third generation version has featured basically the same 1.5 litre e-SKYACTIV-G petrol unit that you'll find in entry-level versions of the brand's MX-5 sports car. Since the end of the last decade, though, certain versions of this power plant have been embellished with electrical tech the MX-5 has never had, namely Mazda's M-Hybrid mild hybrid system, which you'll get with this engine, provided that you don't order it with its feeblest 75 PS output or have it paired with automatic transmission. Most will choose the M-Hybrid power plant in 90 PS form, but you can also have it in the up-rated 115 PS guise that we're trying here. Confusingly, the Japanese maker also offers a full hybrid Mazda 2, which isn't our focus here and is very much a separate product, based entirely on a Toyota Yaris, which means it gets that car's 1.5 litre self-charging engine mated to an 80 PS electric motor, giving a total system output of 116 PS. The M-Hybrid setup we've got here is very different and of course much less efficient, storing up energy recuperated off throttle or under braking and using it to aid acceleration and run the car's engine start-stop system. It works with 6-speed manual transmission. Mazda hasn't yet figured out a way of making it work with the alternative 6-speed auto that you can have with this car in 90 PS form. That adds over 2 seconds to the 90 PS manual model's 9.8 second 0 to 62 mile an hour time en route to 114 miles an hour. Figures this 115 PS model improves to 9.1 seconds and 124 miles an hour. But sportiness in a mainstream supermini doesn't usually have very much to do with outright speed. There are probably going to be a couple of ways people react to the road-going experience served up by this car. Those who might be familiar with the pre-2015 era second generation Mazda 2 model will probably find this Mark III version to be a little more mature and comfort orientated in comparison. Come to this supermini with experience limited to something else in this segment though, and you'll probably feel it to be quite sporty. The Mazda 2 always has been. I mention this difference in perspective to highlight the way the brand has sought to evolve this supermini in Mark III guise. The Fiesta underpinnings its Mark I and Mark II predecessors had to use historically both helped and hindered this model line's progress in the small car sector. On one hand, that chassis imbued the two with a reputation for agile sportiness, but on the other, it could do little to help it achieve the kind of big car feel needed for progress at the premium end of this segment. It all meant that when at last Mazda was able to design its own supermini completely from scratch and create its own chassis for this third generation version, a difficult balance of virtues was needed. The brand couldn't alienate customers who loved the previous model's verve and joie de vivre, but it couldn't grow its market share without Polo people, customers prioritising comfort and a small car that could occasionally also undertake longer trips too. To satisfy these folk with extra quality, though, would normally mean extra weight, with a consequent impact on running cost efficiency. It all caused quite a bit of head scratching in Hiroshima, one reason perhaps why it took the brand so long to develop this car. Still, what we ended up with was worth waiting for, developed primarily through extensive use of what the Japanese maker calls its e-SKYACTIV technology. e-SKYACTIV is one of Mazda's favourite buzzwords, an all-encompassing term for an efficient approach to vehicle engineering. This aims to drive down running costs by saving weight and ramp up driving enjoyment by doing exactly the same thing. It's a solution that seems so obvious, and indeed one that every other rival brand strives to achieve before getting bogged down in having to make its products bigger, better equipped, safer and better built. But then no other brand has invested itself into the process quite like Mazda. Integral to this Mazda2's design philosophy is its e-SKYACTIV chassis, its e-SKYACTIV body, its e-SKYACTIV drive transmissions, and its two e-SKYACTIV engines, all of them with bulk trimmed to the minimum, bringing the collective result that this car is significantly lighter than most of its rivals. As a result, it'll accelerate more quickly, stop more sharply, corner more keenly. The suspension will be able to do its job more effectively, and you won't be exacting such a huge demand on the brakes, transmission and tyres. Hardly a marginal improvement then, but instead one you can really feel. Hustle through the bends, for example, and you'll notice how sharp the corner turn-in is, though it's rather disappointing to then find that when you take the car up on its invitation and try and throw it about a little, there's nothing like the feedback through the electric power steering that this car's Mark II predecessor used to give. Still, the compensatory gains this time round are many. Ride quality is excellent, and thanks to an uncommonly stiff chassis, this Mazda remains exceptionally nimble and agile for a model of its size. That's aided by the G Vectoring Control Plus system that Mazda introduced into this car a few years back, which uses the brakes to apply direct yaw movement control in addition to engine control. Basically, it helps you get grip down through the bends. It's nippy around the town too, an environment where you appreciate the ease with which you can park this car and its tight 4.7 metre turning circle. I'll finish by reiterating the e-SKYACTIV development philosophy that undergirds everything about this car, aimed at making it feel that bit more grown up, that bit more solid, safe and premium. You wouldn't have thought that making it lighter was a good way to go about that. After all, light equals tinny and tinny equals cheap and noisy, doesn't it? Not here apparently. The stiff chassis plays its part in refinement, along with specially designed floor panel beads that reduce cabin noise by as much as 5 decibels, for example, and a lot else that I won't bore you with. Bottom line is that noise has been ruthlessly engineered out of this car at source, and as a result, almost nothing creaks, nothing feels cheap. True, the engines can be a bit vocal if you rev them, but the extra torque that comes with this e-SKYACTIV technology helps to minimise the need for that. Combine all this with a decent driving position and truly excellent seats, and you have a small car that's more adept at most at undertaking longer trips. Mission accomplished. The package of 2023 updates saw the first time that this third generation Mazda 2 had had any really significant visual changes, though they're not especially far-reaching. It's detailed stuff, really, building on the existing well-proportioned Kodo-style design. Spend big on your Mazda 2, and with this revised model you now get a more premium look. This top Homura Acca version features this gloss black roof plus gloss black door mirrors, a black shark fin roof antenna, and these 18-inch black and silver metallic machined alloy wheels. 15-inch rims feature at the base of the range. Otherwise, this profile perspective is much as it's always been with this third generation model, with upper and lower creases and a distinctive cab rearwards design that gives this car quite a purposeful, muscular look. The main changes to this updated model feature here at the front, where there's a restyled grille that sees the signature Mazda wing surround pass beneath rather than below the number plate, leaving space to accentuate the now sportier lower bumper trim. Additionally, to give a sharper look, the signature wing grille surround cuts into the leading edge of the headlight rather than passing underneath. The look of the grille itself will depend on the variant that you've chosen. With the most affordable variants, the lower section is covered by a large panel that has a small asymmetrically placed yellow accent tab just above. The panel will be either black or body coloured, depending on the paint choice you've made. That panel disappears if you opt for one of the two plusher Homura trimmed variants, like this one, which feature this black honeycomb grille with a red accent. Those accent tabs reappear again here at the back on this full-width black lower bumper moulding, yellow for the centerline and exclusive line variants, and as here, red for the two Homura models. As before, there's this neat roof spoiler, and the tail lights are embellished by a distinctive U-shaped lighting signature. But of course, as usual, it's what lies beneath all the stylised panel work that's really important. In this case, a light yet strong SKYACTIV body and a SKYACTIV chassis that's designed to try and replicate the kind of connected feeling that you get in Mazda's little MX-5 sports cars, something the brand likes to call Jinba Itai. This translated from the Japanese to mean a feeling of horse and rider becoming one. The same concept has inspired much of the thinking that's created an equally characterful at-the-wheel experience. The wide opening doors make it easy to get in. And once inside, the cabin's more spacious than the exterior styling leads you to expect it might be, divided into two zones, one focused on driving, the other on connectivity and infotainment. This Mark III Mazda 2 has been around nearly a decade, but some of the features fitted here still haven't been replicated by more recently designed superminis. This remains the only small hatch with a useful lower controller for the centre screen. And it's rare to find a head-up display fitted to a car of this size, which you get on a plush Homura Acca Mazda 2 variant like this one. Along with quite a smart standard of trim that on all the revised models now includes this spec-dependent dashboard insert, here smartly red-stitched in a micro-fleece style material that matches the upholstery of the red-piped seats. Homura models also get these contrasting red surrounds for the fascia's three circular jet engine style air vents, and plush additions like heat for the seats and steering wheel. Across the range, as before, cabin quality is a level above what most other superminis provide. If you haven't tried a Mazda 2 before, there are a few things that'll stand out. First up is this deeply cowled motorcycle-style central dial, provided as a rev counter with a digital speed readout that's also replicated on that optional head-up display. The instrument display includes selectable trip computer data, and the whole layout is all so neat and uncluttered that you initially wonder what might be missing before realising that actually nothing really is. The other defining interior feature lies not in what's included, but in what's missing. There's no conventional centre stack. dividing the front of the cabin, so no mid-fascia mounted display screen or stereo system. That infotainment display has been resited onto the very top of the dash, where it's placed more precisely into your field of vision. The 8-inch colour screen itself, which initially seems a little half-finished given that not all the home screen icons fit within the confines of the display, actually turns out to work really well, marshalling the usual stereo, media and informational functions with slick clarity. Plus, of course, it simply loves to work with your smartphone via Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, though for the latter you'll need to connect in using a wire. Mazda also claims that you can have Facebook posts read to you through the speakers and post your own via the voice command system, which all sounds very distracting to me. Most other superminis have this kind of functionality these days, of course, but all of them require you to control their infotainment screens with either voice or touch control. As I mentioned earlier, this Mazda2 offers the additional convenience of operating this central display via this silver rotary multimedia commander controller that you'll find just behind the gear stick. As with so much in this Mazda, it's the sort of feature you'd expect to find in a larger, pricier car. Earlier, I was talking about that feeling of connectedness that you get with this design. This driving position delivers that, though it takes a moment or two to realise why. It might be down to the optimally placed pedals freed up for perfect positioning thanks to the way that the front wheels of this third generation design have been deliberately moved 80mm forward. And the ideal sighting of the chunky 3-spoke steering wheel also helps. For me though, it's the seats that are most important here. Height adjustable, of course, and chairs that were redesigned in this Mark III model to provide 30% more body contact and much more support for your lower and upper back. The seat structure is fashioned to better support the body and helps maintain a posture in which the pelvis is upright and the spine maintains a natural S-shaped curve. These chairs also offer plenty of front and rearward movement, as does that rake and reach adjustable wheel. In short, getting comfortable in this Mazda is as easy as you could ever imagine it would be in a car of this diminutive size. There are other upmarket style touches too, like the 3 Audi A1 style circular vents I mentioned earlier. The offside 2 connected by a 4th horizontal one for extra styling symmetry. You really have to stretch to the plusher trim levels to get the full effect of all this though, and even there you don't quite get the depth of materials quality that you would in an A1. The Hiroshima brand, it seems, still has a little to learn from the plusher Volkswagen Group brands in terms of soft touch plastics and general cabin embellishment. That said, what's served up here is fine for a supermini, complemented by what seems like solid build quality from the Thai factory. Then there's the question of all-round visibility, which is very good once you get used to the slight restrictions in your over-the-shoulder perspective. Otherwise, the car is very easy to place. The long bonnet making parking easy, and the slim A-pillars improving your front three-quarter view at roundabouts and junctions. The seats have been placed a little further apart than is usual in a supermini, which parents will find makes turning round to their rear-seated offspring that little bit easier. That only leaves a few practicalities. There's a big glove box, deep door pocket shaped to hold large 1-litre bottles, and a useful smartphone-sized tray ahead of the gear stick, above which lie twin USB-A ports, a 12-volt socket, and, rather showing the age of this design, SD card slots. Mazda also provides twin cup holders next to the manual handbrake, with a compartmentalised cubby further back between the seats. And there's a ticket clip on the driver's sun visor. Let's take a seat in the rear. It'll be just as squashed in here as it is in just about every rival supermini if you try and cram 3 full-sized adults in on longer trips. But at least thanks to a reasonable amount of wheelbase length, legroom's a little better than it usually is on a car of this size, with slim front seat backs featuring concave sculpting, also providing a little bit of extra room for your knees. Headroom, though, isn't especially generous, and the sweeping rear windows slightly restrict your view out. The centre tunnel's height makes accommodation of a middle-seated adult just about impossible, even if the restricted cabin width would have allowed it. And you do without door pockets and, rather meanly, a driver's side seat back pocket. But there are overhead coat hooks, and you've access to this compartment at the rear of this centre console. Out back, the boot capacity, 280 litres, is about the same as you get from most rivals, though a little down on boxier contenders like Škoda's Fabia and Hyundai's i20. For reference, the Toyota Yaris-based Mazda2 hybrid offers 286 litres. Now here, there's a high set sill and quite a drop from it, and there's no kind of adjustable height boot floor offered. At least the space you get is practically shaped. There's a useful 1,000mm gap between the wheel arches to ensure that Mazda 2 owners can easily cram in awkwardly shaped things like baby buggies. A little bit of extra compartmentalised space resides beneath the boot floor, but only because Mazda declines to offer any sort of spare wheel. So in the event of a flat tyre, you'll be stuck on the side of the road with a can of sealant. If you need more space, you can, as usual, push forward the 60/40 split rear bench. With the backrest flattened, you end up with a bit of an awkward step in the boot floor, but if you can negotiate that, then up to 960 litres of fresh air is available. There are two kinds of Mazda 2 that you can choose these days. The conventional version, which is what we have here, primarily featuring the brand's 1.5 litre e-SKYACTIV-G mild hybrid petrol power plant, and a full hybrid model, which is essentially just a rebadged Toyota Yaris but costs a fair bit more than this conventional car. Now, it's the conventional 1.5 litre variants that are our focus today, which in this improved form come with a single 5-door body style and 4 revised trim levels. Mazda says the more affordable Centerline and exclusive line versions focus on a fun and casual nature, while the plusher Homura and this Homura Acca variant are supposed to give this car a sportier look and character. Prices, as we filmed in autumn 2023, started from just under £19,000 for the base-trimmed Centerline model with the entry-level 75 PS 1.5 litre petrol engine. But most customers are going to want this unit in the 90 PS mild hybrid form that we're trying here, for which you're going to need a starting budget of just under £20,000. You're going to need closer to £21,500 for a top-spec Homura Acca variant, like the one that we have here, which can also be had in the uprated 115 PS form we've chosen to test for this film, though for that you'll be paying close to £24,000, which is pretty close to the budget that you'd need for the entry-level version of the much more efficient Yaris-derived full hybrid model. That only comes with auto transmission, and with this conventional Mazda 2 you can get an auto too, though only with an unelectrified version of the 90 PS engine and only with either exclusive line or this top Homura Acca trim for around £1,500 more. To give you a value perspective, the prices being asked for this conventional Mazda 2 are pretty similar to what you'd pay for the segment sales leading Vauxhall Corsa and the Ford Fiesta, which was still on sale at the time of this film. And the prices undercut key rivals like Volkswagen's Polo, Hyundai's i20, Peugeot's 208 and Audi's A1 Sportback by around £1,000. You could save a fraction by opting for a Škoda Fabia, a little more by choosing a Citroën C3 or a Suzuki Swift, and a lot more by choosing a Dacia Sandero. Those are your primary segment options, and in the main you pretty much get what you pay for. We'd understand if, having considered all of those segment options and having tried this Mazda, you find yourself tempted by a Mazda 2, and if so, the deal might be sealed by a decent level of standard equipment. Is that what you get here? Let's see. All models come with auto-leveling LED headlights, rear parking sensors, auto headlamps and wipers, and heated power folding mirrors. Inside, all Mazda 2s get climate control air conditioning, cruise control with an adjustable limiter, leather wrapping for the steering wheel, gear shifter and handbrake, plus an auto-dimming rear-view mirror. As for media connectivity, well, across the range there's the brand's 8-inch Mazda Connect multimedia system touchscreen with its Multimedia Commander lower controller. That screen features 3D colour navigation, a 6-speaker DAB radio, wireless Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto smartphone mirroring, and integrated Bluetooth. Using this display, you can access podcasts and audiobooks, use text-to-speech or an SMS email function, and access over 330,000 internet-based radio stations. What about the differences between the various trim levels? Well, base centerline trim is the only one that gives you the option of the entry-level 75 PS version of the 1.5 litre engine, which will save you around £900 over the 90 PS mild hybrid unit. Most Mazda 2 customers, though, are going to want to start their perusal of the range from mid-level exclusive line trim, which swaps the base model's 15-inch wheels for larger 16-inch rims and adds smart keyless entry, a reversing camera, rear privacy glass, chrome exhaust trim and signature LED daytime running lights. If you want more, then Homura trim is the next one up, identifiable by 16-inch black metallic alloy wheels, a black honeycomb front grille with a red accent at the back, and red piping for the black cloth upholstery. That only leaves this test car's top Homura Acca spec, distinguishable from a standard Homura model by its black roof, its rear privacy glass, its chrome exhaust trim and its signature LED daytime running lights, and the machined finish applied to its 16-inch black alloy wheels. Unlike with the Homura, you get smart keyless entry and the cabin upholstery gains part leather finishing. Plus there's heat for the front seats and the steering wheel. If you stretch to the Homura Acca with the uprated 115 PS engine we're trying here, you additionally get a colour active driving display. That's Mazda's name for a head-up display. Plus a 360-degree around view monitor, front parking sensors, adaptive LED headlights, and some extra camera safety features that we'll cover off for you in a moment. On to options. You can add an alloy pedal set, a colour-coded key shell, stainless steel door scuff plates and roof carrier crossbars. There's also a wide range of accessory alloy wheels. You can add mud flaps, plus a rear spoiler in brilliant black, a boot liner, and if your chosen Mazda 2 doesn't have them, chrome-tipped exhaust extensions and a black shark fin antenna. Be careful with your choice of exterior colour. With the aim of giving customers more colour combination choices, on Soul Red Crystal, Snowflake White, Platinum Quartz, Polymetal Grey, and as here, Airstream Blue painted cars, the grille panel is body coloured, while on Machine Grey, Deep Crystal Blue, Ceramic Metallic and the new Aero Grey colour, the grille panel is in jet black to give a smart contrasting look. Jet black cars also have a jet black grille panel. On to safety, and this car's iActive Sense range of active safety technology features. None of the more advanced ones, we should point out, feature with the base 75 PS variant, so remember that if you're tempted to penny pinch and choose it. Provided you specify your Mazda 2 with the 90 PS mild hybrid power plant though, your car will come with the brand's advanced smart city brake support system. At low speeds of up to 18 miles an hour, this scans the road ahead for you as you drive for potential collision hazards. If one is detected, you'll be warned. If you don't respond, or aren't able to, the brakes will automatically be applied to decrease the severity of any resulting accident. Also included is a lane keep assist system with lane departure warning. For more in terms of camera safety, you have to stretch right to the very top of the range and the 115 PS version of the Homura Acca model that we're trying here. That adds a rear cross-traffic alert system that monitors your blind spots for you when you're reversing out of a space, and rear smart city brake support, which uses 2 ultrasonic sensors mounted on the bumper to keep track of obstacles when reversing at low speeds. There's also driver attention alert to alert drowsy drivers, and also a blind spot monitoring setup that on the move stops you from dangerously pulling out to overtake in front of another car. That's a useful thing to have here, since over-the-shoulder visibility in this Mazda is a little restricted. As for more conventional safety features fitted right across the range, well, let's start with the passive stuff. All models get ISOFIX child seat fastenings, along with a pedestrian-friendly bonnet and bumper, plus twin front, side and curtain airbags. As for the basic electronic active elements, well, that tally runs to DSC dynamic stability control, a TCS traction control system, and an ABS braking setup with EBA emergency brake assist for panic stops that'll be advertised to following motorists by an ESS emergency stop signalling feature that automatically flashes your hazard lights when you slam on the anchors. There's also a tyre pressure monitoring system and an HHA hill hold assist setup that stops the car from drifting backwards on uphill junctions. Let's get to the figures, which for the 90 PS mild hybrid manual variant most will choose are pretty class competitive. 60.1 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle and 107 grams per kilometre of CO2. That's a huge chunk away from the figures you'd get with the Yaris-derived full hybrid version of this car, up to 74.3 mpg and up to 87 grams per kilometre. But by conventional supermini class standards, these readings aren't too bad. And don't fall massively if you get this engine in the uprated 115 PS form that we're trying here, which manages 56.5 mpg and 113 grams per kilometre. Though the figures do take a hit if you saddle a 90 PS unit with automatic transmission, which drops things down to 52.3 mpg and 122 grams per kilometre. Mazda makes much of the way its M-hybrid electrification system contributes to these stats, but actually the contribution isn't really very great, as is obvious when you consider the returns of the base 75 PS model, which doesn't have it. That manages readings that are only fractionally worse than this M-hybrid variant, 58.9 mpg and 109 grams per kilometre of CO2. But anyway, every little helps. The M-hybrid power plant works as mild hybrid systems usually do, recuperating energy when you come off throttle or brake, storing it in a capacitor, then using an integrated starter generator to use it to reduce load on the engine under acceleration and to run the engine start-stop system. And it's embellishing an engine that's already fundamentally efficient, which might be surprising given that it breaks from the mainstream supermini norm in using 4 cylinders and normal aspiration rather than 3 cylinders and a turbo. Mazda's position is that supermini engineering should actually be all about right-sizing rather than downsizing, a thinly veiled reference to the fact that for the most part 3-cylinder turbo power plant technology is really all about getting spectacular results on the official EU economy cycle, rather than giving customers the real world savings possible through economy and cleanliness you could actually realistically replicate in day-to-day motoring. If, for example, you were to ask the owner of the segment sales leading Vauxhall Corsa 1.2 100 PS model, supposed to deliver 57.6 mpg on the combined cycle, what they actually get day in and day out, most will probably claim 50 miles to the gallon at best. That's not nearly so impressive, which is precisely the point that Mazda is trying to make. That's why the Hiroshima brand wants to pursue a more honest approach that involves focusing on getting more from conventional petrol power plants rather than developing completely new ones. The company bases its development around what it calls e-SKYACTIV technology, a program aimed not only at improving the efficiency of engines and transmissions, but crucially also focusing on lightweight design. This vitally important aspect has seen the engineers pore over this model in intricate detail, removing unnecessary bulk wherever they could find it. As a result, the Euro 6 engines, the gearbox and the chassis are all relatively light, hence a 1,158 kilogram curb weight that's one of the lowest in the class. Also helping with efficiency is the company's claim of a class-leadingly high compression ratio for its e-SKYACTIV-G petrol engines, something Mazda's worked on quite a lot in recent times. Since its initial launch, this mild hybrid engine's compression ratio has increased from 13.1 to 15.1, with the exhaust upgraded from a 4.1 to a 4.21 manifold, to a point where it now rivals a Formula One car in this respect. Now, all of that didn't mean much to me when I first read it, and it probably won't mean much to you either, so I better explain. A higher compression ratio means the engine has less in the way of mechanical stress. Now, that allows lighter weight materials to be used in building the thing, which in turn means that the finished vehicle will need less energy to move through the air. And no energy at all, of course, when it comes to a temporary stop, say at the lights or in traffic, for at that point, in this Mazda's case, an I-stop engine start-stop system, the fastest reacting setup of its kind on the market, will cut in, reducing fuel consumption by up to 10% all on its own. You'll be saving more energy under braking too than you would be in a comparable rival, thanks to Mazda's e-loop brake regeneration system. The name designates an intelligent energy loop setup that's able to harvest and then reuse significantly more energy than comparable systems. Anyway, enough on engine efficiency. What else might you need to know about the costs of running this car? Well, insurance groupings are slightly higher than the norm in this segment, but nothing to lose too much sleep over. The base 75 PS version is rated at Group 16E, while the 90 PS models rate at Group 18A in manual form or 14E as an auto. This top 115 PS variant is rated at Group 21A. This top model, by the way, has the worst depreciation record at just over 50% after 3 years and 36,000 miles, but even that's not too bad. The 90 PS mid-range Homura version manages almost 59%. Servicing is every year or every 12,500 miles. Mazda offers a 3-year service plan, which at the time of our test costs £699 and could be paid as a one-off or in regular monthly instalments. As for peace of mind, well, given the reliability of Mazda products, you'd have thought the company might have wanted to improve upon its usual 3-year 60,000 mile package and take on the Korean brands when it comes to warranties. Not so. That familiar standard warranty remains in place for this car. Still, the cover provided does continue to include 3 years of European roadside assistance. Good things often come in little packages. Here's one of them. It's a small car that's been developed with an extraordinarily large amount of care, and as a result remains a class act nearly a decade after its original launch. Arguably, there are still few other class rivals that offer a better all-round blend of performance and efficiency. Plus, this improved third-generation Mazda 2 offers smart looks, reasonable pricing, and some lovely quality touches. We particularly like the cabin with its focused driving position and commander controller operated infotainment screen. There's still nothing quite like this dashboard design in the segment, particularly if you compare it to a head-up display. On the road, this remains one of the more agile and enjoyable superminis you can buy, and one that at the same time manages reasonable standards of ride and refinement. There are, it's true, more spacious super minis you could choose. Some are more affordable too. And we'd be tempted to find the extra to get the considerably greater running cost efficiency offered by the Toyota-derived full hybrid Mazda 2. But if budget limits you to this M hybrid model, there's still lots to like. This third generation Mazda 2 is wearing its age well. The bottom line is that if you thought all super minis were the same, it's well worth trying one of these. Life, you might find, is full of surprises.